I spoke to Commissioner Bob Atkinson in Brisbane this afternoon after he announced the formation of a serious violent crime squad for the state's southeast. Commissioner, on Monday you were asked about the need for an armed robbery squad and you said to date we have not felt that it was necessary. What changed in those 4 days?
A combination of things. We've been monitoring, obviously, the situation in the southeast region, which takes in the Gold Coast, Coomera and Logan for some time. And clearly there has been a need for extra detectives down there. It is unusual to have specialist squads in regions. They're based here in Brisbane in State Crime Operations Command. We do have a drug squad in Cairns, but we've considered this, and the combination of a range of factors has led us to the point where we've decided to introduce this new squad of 18 detectives to tackle serious violent crime, but particularly to support the detectives from Coolangatta through to Logan.
The police service was also at pains in the days after this tragic shooting to point out that the trend toward armed robberies was down. But today you've said you're extremely concerned about the recent spike. So is there a problem?
Yes, every armed robbery is a problem. Every armed robbery involving a gun, a firearm, is a particular problem, so we've never diminished our concern. And 10 years ago, when we introduced a process called Operation Performance Review, we set out to reduce armed robberies in Queensland. Around 10 years ago, there were around 1,300 armed robberies in Queensland each year. We've reduced that last year to about 800. The rate has reduced as well. But that hasn't happened in one of the 8 regions, and that's the southeast region. Each year there were around 200 to 300 armed robberies, and in the last couple of years the numbers remained stable at around 300. Fortunately, the percentage of firearm usage has remained stable at about 20% of all armed hold-ups, but it has spiked in recent times. Overall, that's too many, 300 each year, that's almost one a day, and there is an increasing concern, and if it's the concern of the public and it's the public's perception, then that's the reality, regardless of what statistics may or may not show, about serious violent crime on the coast and about the use of firearms.
Should you have set up this task force sooner?
I don't think we could have. Each year we allocate the resources that we're given by government fairly and evenly and equitably across the state, and everywhere in Queensland just about has needs for extra police. So we have to be very judicious with the way we allocate those resources. Last year we provided 45 extra police to the southeast region, which was the lion's share of what we had.
Whose idea was the squad?
It was mine, actually. But it's the combination of a whole lot of discussion and consideration about the best way we can address this problem, and equally the best way we can use the resources and the numbers we have available to us.
The government's been under pressure over this issue. The Premier said that she was concerned about the impact it could have, for example, on the Commonwealth Games bid. To what extent did the government exert some pressure on you to act?
No, they obviously show an interest. I talk with the Police Minister every day about what's happened throughout the state in the previous 24 hours. Even on Saturday and Sunday I brief him. And you would, I guess, I'm pleased about that. I'm pleased the Minister takes that interest. But in the 10 years that I've done this, there has never been interference. At the end of the day I have to accept responsibility for it, but there's never been interference in how I distribute the resources we have, and there has never been interference in terms of operational procedures. In other words, who we investigate, who we prosecute, or anything like that.
The union has said, though, that it had a conversation with the Premier on Tuesday. Anna Bligh said, what can be done? The union said, set up a special squad. They have thanked her for intervening.
Yes, I found that quite interesting. I've heard that they've said that.
Is the police service being politicised?
No, and now we are subject to government policy in a different context. One of the things that really concerned me some years ago was the increasing road toll, and I went to the government about that, and the government made a commitment after discussions with myself that we would increase the number of traffic branch personnel in Queensland. So we increased it from 4% to 5%. There was another 104 police out of our growth to go into the traffic branches throughout Queensland. That was a government policy decision which we are then obligated to implement. So yes, the government can have a role, but in this case, this was my decision.
So the Premier didn't come to you and say, look, let's set up this squad?
No, she did not. Clearly, both the Premier, through her public statements, has expressed a concern and an interest, and clearly the Police Minister has too. But I can say to you unequivocally that no one forced me into a position of doing this. This was my choice, one I made in consultation with other senior police, and I think it's the best way forward.
The police service has been encouraging Queenslanders to get blue ribbons to show their support for Damien Leading's family. Those ribbons have run out. Have you ever seen a public response like this?
No, I haven't, and I must say we are enormously thankful for the support that's been shown to us by the community. We're also thankful for the media in making the community aware of Damien's courage, his bravery, and obviously that he was a member of society, a husband, a father of 2 young children, and I've not in my career I have seen something similar before, but not to this extent.
Commissioner, thanks for your time.
Thank you.